Hey everyone, today is Thursday, November 12th. It is 4:42 p.m. and the temperature is 8 degrees Celsius. I'm currently walking east along King Street East. And this here on the right is the little Trinity Anglican Church. I think this one dates back till 1843. And the plan for this walk is to head south here onto Trinity Street. And I'll head down to Front Street East. And from there, I'll walk west along Front Street East. And I'm not yet sure where I'll finish this walk. I've always thought this part of Trinity Street was rather neat, and I can't recall recording it in a video till now. And this here on the right is the Enoch Turner Schoolhouse. This opened up originally in 1848 as a one-room schoolhouse. It's now a museum and historic site. This neighborhood I'm in is known as Corktown, and it was originally settled by Irish immigrants back in the 1800s, and it was known as being one of the poorer neighborhoods. And if I'm not mistaken, Enoch Turner was a rather wealthy individual who donated that school to the area so the kids would have a place to study. Things were, of course, quite different back then. You could take Trinity Street south here all the way to the Distillery District, which is actually just off in the distance there. And this is Eastern Avenue. This is a rather interesting parquet. Rather than grass, they've gone with rocks. Kind of a unique choice. And here is where Eastern Avenue merges into Front Street. You could take Front Street east here all the way to Bayview Avenue, and that's an area known as the Canary District. And Front Street East will run west to Yonge Street, and once you cross Yonge Street, it'll become Front Street West. And from there, you could take it over to Bathurst Street. But this walk will just be along the Front Street East portion. Also, right now it is 4:47 p.m. and I looked up the sunset time for today and it was listed as 4:55 p.m. So it should get quite a bit darker as this walk goes on. And the backdrop of the financial district skyline should make for a fairly nice walk. I was struggling to think of a word there. On the right there is the Toronto Police, Division 51. I talked a bit about that building in my Parliament Street walk. And that opened up in the late 1800s. And this street here is Parliament Street. And this is where the St. Lawrence neighborhood would begin. You could access the Distillery District just to the south there. And the St. Lawrence neighborhood is bounded by Parliament Street to the east, and I think Yonge Street to the west, and the railway and Gardiner Expressway to the south, and Queen Street to the north. Feel free to fact check that. Looks like there's a pretty healthy line of people trying to get into that car wash. We're almost at that time of year where every time someone takes their car out, it gets filthy. This is Berkeley Street that I'm approaching. And just to the, whoa, that's not the best turn there. And just to the left is the Canadian Opera Company. I think this was originally an industrial building. Back in the 1800s, this was primarily an industrial part of town. And a lot of those early Irish settlers were blue-collar workers. But it's since been converted into the administration offices of the Canadian Opera Company. There's also a 450-seat Imperial Oil Theatre here, as well as rehearsal spaces. Just gonna jaywalk here. I think we'll get a better view of the skyline from the north side of Front Street. And the main performance venue for the Canadian Opera Company is now the Four Seasons Performing Center of the Arts, which you'll find at the intersection of Queen and University Avenue. And this here on the right is the Toronto Sun building. Toronto Sun is a local tabloid. Although I think about 5 or 6 years ago they moved up to Bloor Street East, and they now share the space there with the National Post. And ironically, just beyond the Toronto Sun are the Globe and Mail, which is a large national newspaper here. I think it was Post Media who owns the National Post, who purchased the Toronto Sun. And that's why they relocated. And this is Princess Street. I used to live just to the south of here on a street called Longboat Avenue. And where this condo is going up used to be a very expensive Sobeys supermarket. It was very short-lived, but that was around the time period I lived in this neighborhood. And this is Sherbourne Street, and I think on the northwest corner there are a couple of 26-story condo towers going up. So this entire area has really started to gentrify in recent years. It's always been on the nicer side the closer you get to Yonge Street, but it's been typically a bit more rough the further east you go. I'll just stick to this side of the street. And that over there is the Young People's Theater.
Ready? That house gonna work out?
That building dates back to the late 1800s. It's currently occupied by a non-profit theater group. And I'm not seeing any signs, but I think this is Frederick Street with George Brown College at the end there. And actually remember when this subway had its grand opening back in the mid-2000s sometime. I remember thinking it didn't really have much of a chance of hanging on. There was a Mr. Sub in the area. I think it might even have occupied this location right before it had opened up and then went out of business. I think this is one of those trick eye museums. I first went to one of those in Korea. I don't really know much about this one. I'm surprised they're even open, given that most entertainment venues aren't allowed to be open. And this is George Street. So we're getting quite near the St. Lawrence Market right now.
It's gonna get too cold.
And these buildings here actually go all the way back to the 1840s. So there's a lot of really old building stock on Front Street. And just across the street there at Jarvis is where they're building the new home of the St. Lawrence Northern Market. And that has traditionally been used as a farmer's market on Saturdays and an antiques market on Sundays. They've currently got a temporary location in a tent just to the south of the St. Lawrence Market. Here's a look inside. And there's the St. Lawrence Market itself. This originally opened in 1845, and it served as a city hall and jailhouse and city offices. It's currently a large food market. There's various food vendors on the main floor. And there's some takeout style food you can get in the basement. And there's Paddington's Pub. I used to go there for breakfast somewhat often when I lived in the area. There's a look at the financial district off in the distance there, and there's a look down Market Street.
A little bit.
Just across the street there are the Imagine Cinemas, formerly Rainbow Cinemas. It's a discount movie theater, but they still play most of the current movies, although I don't think that really applies during the pandemic. I don't think studios are making big releases. And hey, this used to be a Paramount, but now it's going to be an A&W. That's a nice upgrade for the neighborhood. There used to be a very large Wendy's around here. And there's the Gooderham building, otherwise known as the Flatiron. If you're familiar with the distillery district, that is the Gooderham and Worts Distillery. And this was built by that same company. It's definitely one of the most iconic buildings in the city, and it looks kind of nice under the glow of this sky. And this here on the right is Wellington Street. That's a one-way street. And on the south side is Front Street, which is a one-way street just to the west of here. And this is Church Street. You could actually find an original Banksy just to the south of here at the Goose Island Brew Pub, which is just at the Esplanade. And you could take Church Street north all the way through downtown, and it actually bends to the west once you get past Bloor Street, and it'll end at Yonge Street. It's a pretty neat look at the CN Tower. That's the Firkin Pub. Although I can't imagine they'll be doing too much business if they don't have outdoor heat lamps, as bars and restaurants were originally to reopen to dine-in customers on November 14th. But the province has decided to extend the lockdown, so they won't be able to do that. So I imagine we'll see another wave of businesses, unfortunately, going out of business. I don't really know what the answer is. I just know that it really sucks that so many small business owners are suffering so dearly from all of this. That's not even out of selfishness for wanting to be able to go out and dine in places. And this is Berczy Park. I've certainly been through here before. This park closed down a few years ago to be extensively renovated. And unfortunately, this fountain wasn't turned on this summer. This is a great place to grab some lunch if you're in the financial district. And amongst all these dogs, there's one lonesome cat. And a very strong odor of marijuana in the air, but that's to be expected these days. There's a look at the mural on the back of the Flatiron Building. Just from a lighting perspective, I think this is probably the nicest time of day to record one of these walks. Especially on this camera. My old Pocket 1 would tend to struggle whenever I was heading west in the late afternoon, early evening. I'd run into exposure issues where it would tend to get too dark randomly, making walks like this one a bit more challenging to record, but the new camera seems to be holding up pretty well. There's a look at the L Tower. And the South Core skyline in the distance there. And right here is Yonge Street. That's where Front Street East will turn into Front Street West when we get to the other side. Yonge Street is the major east-west divide down the center of Toronto. It goes from the lake all the way up to where the city ends at Steeles Avenue. And that's the Canadian Hockey Hall of Fame there. And this building seems to change its name every few years. If I can recall, it's been the O'Keefe Center, and the Hummingbird Center, and the Sony Center of the Performing Arts. It's just a matter of time before it dons a new name. I guess that's one way to parent, just give your kid a phone. Unfortunately, it looks like much of that nice, glowing, bright sky is being covered up by the building straight ahead, but you can sort of see it peeking through. It's one of the disadvantages of Toronto. You don't really get that spectacular sunrise or sunset from the downtown area, as it tends to be blocked on either side. The lake is located to the south. And this is Bay Street, which is pretty much the heart of the city's financial district. I did say I was going to just walk Front Street East, but I think I will continue on to the west just for a few more blocks. Let's look at CIBC Square. That's Union Station. Right there, you could grab a commuter rail line via the GO train system, or a GO bus, or the Up Express to the airport. There's also a TTC subway station. And this would normally be pretty much prime time rush hour in this area. So this is quite deserted for 5:14 p.m. on a weekday afternoon. That's the Royal York Hotel. Let's look south at the South Core District, which is a mix of condos and office towers that's popped up in recent years. And there is York Street. I will head north up University Avenue now to St. Andrew Station. At which point I'll stop recording and we'll call this one a walk. And I think this winter I'll come out and try to do more walks at this time of day. It's always kind of interesting how different it looks at sunset versus sunrise. You'd think if the sun is in approximately the same height relative to where we are, the lighting conditions would be similar, but they definitely have a distinctly different look to them. I should probably Google why that is. It's just one of those mysteries in life for us common folk, or at least for me. I'm sure some smarty pants out there is yelling at his screen right now, telling me why I'm a dummy for even thinking why would they be different. There's a bunch of not exactly sober people watching European soccer over there on the patio, if you're wondering what all that hubbub is about.
That's what I thought.
And there's a look to the east down King Street. And to the west, I'm going to pop into St. Andrew Station here. Got my mask on. I always put this mask on kind of crooked. Oops. It's kind of weird how they direct people coming into the station to the left and those going out were on the right. And this is the southbound platform, but when it gets to Union Station, it'll turn around and become northbound up the Yonge Street part of the line. And here comes the train now. I'd like to thank you for watching this walk, heading west along Front Street. There are links to my Instagram and Patreon accounts in the description. You can also check out channel memberships on the main page. Thanks again, guys, and I will catch you on the next one.
Please stand clear of the doors. Next station is Union Station.